Welcome to A to Z with B, an innovative talk show with Beatrice Tony Bailey. As your host, B will be discussing today's hottest topics and insights into different faiths, cultures, and religions. Now sit back, put your feet up, and let's see what's buzzing with B.
Hello, and welcome to A to Z with B. My name is Beatrice Tony Bailey, and I am your host for this show, and we thank you so much for tuning in. This particular episode has been brought to you by a donation by B to Parlay. You can see the slide up there, I am B to Parlay. And for more information, just follow the information that's on the slide. Also, I am dedicating this episode as well to my late husband, Richard James Bailey. If any of the viewers would like to have a special in memorial slide put up for their loved one, they can contact us at the station and we can discuss that. There's so much misinformation on so many different groups, particularly the Sikh community. And when I say Sikh, most people say Sikh, but it's Sikh. I'm very, very tickled right now to tell you that we're going to have a two-part episode. There's so much information about this community that I want to be able to get out to our viewers. And to clarify, we're going to do a two-part episode. The first part of this series will be the history and the principle of Sikhism. The second part will cover famous Sikhs and trailblazers, misconceptions and hate crimes, and then the efforts are currently underway to improve cultural awareness. I have the great pleasure of introducing Dr. Onkar Singh Bindra. He has a PhD from UC Berkeley in entomology, and we're going to talk about entomology. He's also studied and taught in India, in Nigeria, the Sudan, Libya, Indonesia, and he's an ex-board member of the Renaissance Society, which is down at Cal State University. He's currently a trustee at the Sikh temple down in Sacramento. You want to add something, Professor?
Yeah, I have taught in all those countries, you see, and served as a leader for research on integrated pest management.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Now, you're obviously a very, very intelligent man. Of all of the fields you could go into, why bugs? Bugs are those creepy, crawly things that I will swat. How did you select the field of entomology?
Well, when I was an undergraduate student, I got very much fascinated by the life story of the honeybees.
And I am a honeybee, so this is going to be a good story.
So I went into higher education in the field of entomology. My first work was on the desert locust, and then, of course, on the pests which attack agricultural crops. And I was not interested in developing only pesticides for them, but to develop an integrated pest management system in each situation.
Oh, wow, wow. And you also see today I have a chunion. This is traditional wear that they do wear in India. And I do believe that the color orange in Sikhism, is that for celebration?
Yes, orange color is a celebration. When Guru Gobind Singh was asked as to what color of turban should be worn, that's what he recommended, that orange would be the best color of his choice, you see.
In celebrating this two-part episode, I chose to wear this wonderful chuni, which was given to me by my girlfriend from Delhi. Now, Professor, when you worked in both Nigeria and Indonesia and other foreign areas, how were you received as a Sikh? And it's Sikh, not Sikh people.
Well, I was received very well. There was no problem. They, especially in Nigeria and in Sudan, there was great respect given to me because I was teaching their people, you see, and heading research projects. So they were highly appreciative. Yes.
Wonderful. I had the pleasure of visiting Professor Dr. Bindra in his home, and he has a wonderful collection of different walking sticks that he's collected throughout his various journey. Now we're going to talk a lot about the principles and the history of Sikhism. Can you tell us basically who founded Sikhism and when and where? And then we're going to show you a video.
Well, Sikhism was founded by Guru Nanak who was born in 1469 in northwestern India. The place is called Nankana Sahib. Now, since the partition of India and creation of Pakistan in 1947, this location is in Punjab, Pakistan.
Okay.
Yes. And Guru Nanak rejected the Hindu custom of wearing a janeu, which is the sacred thread. And this was at the age of 9 or 10. And when he got enlightenment, he said he is neither Hindu nor Muslim, you see. And that means...
What age was he when he had the enlightenment?
That was about 30 years.
Okay.
Yes. And he advised Hindus to be good Hindus, and he advised Muslims to be good Muslims. And he said that without good deeds, both Hindus and Muslims will repent. This is when he was asked, who is better, a Hindu or a Sikh? A Hindu or a Muslim, I mean. And that's what he told, that without good deeds, neither Muslims nor Hindus will be good, and they will have to repent.
What's interesting. Now let's take a look at a wonderful video that was put together by another PBS organization, KVIE. It's called Meet the Sikhs.
Meet the Sikhs. There are nearly 100,000 in northern and central California. They are most numerous in the Marysville, Yuba City region, 1 of every 10 residents. So a number of cultural and religious events are held there, including a big annual parade that draws Sikhs from many places in our state and beyond. The Sikhs came from the Punjab, a land of 5 rivers in the northwestern area of the Indian subcontinent. It's the site of one of the oldest civilizations in the world. Distinctive in appearance, they are followers of a religion dating back more than 500 years. The word Sikh is believed to be derived from the Punjabi word for disciple. Founded by the Guru Nanak, Sikhism is a religion in itself, but has some aspects in common with other religions. Sikhs believe in a supreme being, respect other religions, pledge equality for women, and most followers don't use alcohol or tobacco. The Sikh creed of Khalsa calls for hair and beard to be unshorn with a comb in it, knee-length breeches, a steel bracelet on the right wrist, and carrying a saber called a kirpan. Men's hair is usually kept under a turban with a V in front. Sikhs have been in America for well over a century. They are not the first Asian Americans, but arrived about the same time as the first Japanese in the late 1800s and early 1900s, and faced similar discrimination, including an Asian Exclusion Act. The first Sikh temple was built in Stockton. Thousands of Sikh men worked on the Western Pacific Railroad and in the timber industry and agriculture. Sikhs have fought in every American war in the last century. Because few Punjabi women were initially able to join them, a number of Sikhs married Mexicans, most of whom were also recent immigrants. Another wave of Sikhs came after the partition of India in the 1940s. Changes in immigration law in the past decades have brought the most recent group, including business and medical professionals.
Mil mere Pritama, mil mere Pritama.
While concentrated in Northern California, you'll find Sikhs in all walks of American life. But their story as American immigrants is left out of most textbooks. Because of their attire, they remain distinctive, while determined to share in the American dream.
What an excellent video, and hopefully you all have a better feeling for Sikhism, but not as strong a feeling as you will have at the end of our two-part series. Now, can you tell us, Professor, who are the Sikhs and how Sikhism is different from Islam or Hinduism?
Well, on the street, if you find somebody who is wearing an iron or a steel bracelet like this one or somewhat different, he may be a Sikh. Same way, if you ask such a person his or her name, he may say he is so and so Singh if he is a man, and she may say, a lady may say she is so and so Kaur. So
let me tell you a funny story.
Yeah.
When they had the dedication of the temple down in West Sacramento, I went down there to view it for personal education. So I go up. I was going to meet another Dr. Singh. So I go up, and the people were just gracious, very, very nice to me. And I came up and I said, "Yes, I'm here to meet Dr. Singh." And they looked at me and they said, there are many Dr. Singhs here, because all of the men have Singh as their last name. But they didn't laugh at me or anything. Later I felt really foolish when I found out that all the men have Singh.
of course, there are a lot of physicians here who are Sikhs, and there are many veterinarians who are Sikhs, and then besides that there are a few like me who have PhD degrees, so they would all be doctors.
Doctors, and all be Singhs.
And all be Singhs will have Singh as their middle or last name, you see.
Now, how would you mentioned the bracelet? How would I identify a Sikh? I mean, I have a bracelet on. Clearly, I'm not a Sikh.
Yes, that is why you see these people who have these names like Singh, or maybe have a bracelet, they may be Sikhs or they may not be. But if they are wearing a turban on their head, or in case of boys, they have what is known as a patka. You see, a short,
that's the black one with the little round.
A short turban. It can vary in color, you see. Then he is going to be 99.9% a Sikh, you see, especially in America, because it is only the Sikhs in America who wear turban, which is required by their religion. And then some of the Sikh, especially the youth, may be wearing the sign Ek Onkar, or the sign of the Khanda, which is the Sikh insignia, and this may be on a necklace or on the T-shirt, or even on car, you see, or other property. And finally, Sikhs may also even be wearing a kirpan, which is a sword, small sword, that reminds them that they have to improve themselves, get rid of the 5 evils in
sort
them.
Of cut away symbolically?
Yes, symbolically. And also to defend not only themselves, but also anybody who is being downtrodden, who is being harassed by others.
Oh, interesting.
And of course, this has to be done under the law, not taking the weapon into their own hands. It's just a reminder, that this is part of their duty.
Excellent. Now, we spoke a little bit about the turban. There's a really great video that I saw earlier, and it was put on by the Carr Foundation, and it's called "Why Do I Wear a Turban?" Let's take a look at that one.
I wear a turban because
it makes me look taller.
Because I feel proud of it.
Because
I wear a turban because if a boy can wear one, I can wear one too.
I wear a turban because it helps me stand out in a crowd.
क्योंकि दस्तार मनु बकरी पहचान दंदी है.
I wear a turban because I like it so much.
I wear a turban because it shows my commitment to my faith.
Because it matches with my shirt sometimes.
I wear a turban because I'm a Sikh.
I am a Sikh.
I'm a Sikh.
मैं सिख हाँ.
I am a Sikh.
I am a Sikh.
This is why I'm hot cause I'm fly. You ain't cause you not. This is why I'm hot.
Now, Professor, you mentioned that about 99% of the people who you see wearing a turban are Sikh, correct? Okay. Here's a slide created by the Department of Justice on common Muslim head coverings. Let's take a look at this. Now, if you look at this, now take your time and look at this particular slide for a second. Okay, now here's another slide that's been created by the Department of Justice that talks about or demonstrates common Sikh head coverings. Now, as you can see, if you take your time, there are distinct differences between these different types of head coverings. Now, why is this particularly a concern, Professor, since 9/11?
Because on 9/11 we had attacks, aerial attacks, you know, on our important buildings in New York and Washington, D.C.
In Philadelphia.
And the person responsible for that was named and he admitted as being the Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden, who also wears a turban, but even though his turban looks very different from a Sikh turban, still when his picture and that of the Taliban who became his followers was shown repeatedly, ignorant people of our country thought that there is a close connection between the Sikhs in America and Osama bin Laden or Al-Qaeda and Taliban, you know, terrorists. And they started attacking. Since then, 9/11, there have been lots and lots of attacks on the Sikhs, and several of them have even been killed, you know.
And we're going to go in detail about hate crimes during our second episode. Now, Professor, what's the historical significance of wearing a turban?
Well, turban has been worn from biblical times. You are a good Christian and you know that the first priests, Aaron and their sons, when they were invited for being anointed, they were asked to wear turbans. So turban has been a symbol of dignity and of honor and respect since then. And it is, however, only the Sikh religion which has required the turban to be worn now by the Sikhs.
Well, now, is it mandatory for everyone to wear the turban?
Well, it is really not, it is mandatory, but people have changed, you know, just as you have found that most of the Muslims, they wear turbans in their countries back home. However, when they come to America, they don't wear any of those turbans, you see. So same way, there has been change going on. People, many Sikhs, you know, here have cut off their hair because so that they become more easily acceptable and there is less discrimination against them in finding jobs and so on. And also for the same reason, you know, they don't wear turban anymore, many of them, you see.
No, why don't the Sikhs cut their hair? Because, I mean, some of the hair is really long.
Well, the Sikhs believe that we should not interfere with God's proposal. Whatever kind of hair or other body parts we have, that is ordained by God. And also, as you know very well, that all prophets, irrespective of the religion, they had long hair.
Right.
Yes. I have not yet seen a picture of Jesus Christ, you know, with short hair.
And clean shaven.
And clean shaven, yes. So that is why the long hair are important. And also Guru Gobind Singh, the 10th Guru, he and his predecessors were challenged by the Mughal kings and they were attacked, and he had to raise an army, and he thought that he should give them a proper identification, and then so that they can then fight bravely against the terrorism of the state.
Now, is there any, does a person have flexibility on selecting the color of their turban?
Yes, they have full flexibility, and these days you find a very large number of different colors available in the market.
Well, are there any prints? I mean, could I have one with
Yes,
bumblebees on it?
there are even with prints, there are with bands, with prints, solid colors, many different colors.
How many turbans do you own?
I have about a dozen of them.
Okay, is that
Yes.
typical?
Yeah, some people have even more.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely could be a fashion statement. It's a good thing I'm not. I'd have a whole separate room dedicated with the different turbans. They'd be orange, and they'd be kind of orange. They'd be salmon. I would go on and on and on. Now, one of the cornerstones of your faith is the holy book,
Yes.
your Sikh holy scripture. Tell us how is that different from other faiths and some of the special features?
Well, you know, the Sikh holy book, like holy books of all other religions, contains the revelations from God, you see. And whenever Guru Nanak received any revelation, he sang it and he said himself that this is coming from the God directly, you see. And whatever God is telling him, that is what he is speaking. And it has many common points with Bible, for example. In the Bible it is said, as you sow, so shall you reap. Exactly same wording occur in Guru Granth Sahib. Then the great power of God, that there is only one God, you see, not many gods, and He is the universal God of all. And He is the mother, father of everyone, of all creation, and therefore we are all His children, and therefore we are all equal. And when we go to the differences, then it is sometimes, you know, distressing to find a textbook which shows Sikhism as an appendage or as an appendix in a chapter on Hinduism. Because
they're not connected.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, Guru Nanak, the founder of Sikhism, he rejected Hinduism in the age of 10 or 11. He did not accept the sacred thread of Hinduism, you see. And at 30 he said he is neither Hindu, he is nor Muslim. And some of the Muslim practices like going to Mecca or like fasting during the month of Ramadan or circumcision of men, these are not practiced in Sikhism. They have nothing to do with Sikhism.
Well, now we talked
before. They are Islamic.
Excuse me. We talked before, and you mentioned that Sikhism really is a true interfaith religion. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, Sikhism is interfaith in the sense that the holy book of the Sikhs contains the compositions of not only the Sikh gurus, 6 of them, but also the compositions of some 36 other people. And several of them were Muslim Sufi saints. Some of them were Hindu saints and belonged to the high caste as well as to the very low caste in the caste system, Hindu caste system.
Right.
And so it is, and Guru Nanak, you know, went from place to place. He traveled for 4 times, totaling about 22 years, and covered about 38,000 kilometers during his travels. And had discussions with all the spiritually advanced people of not only India, but even abroad, you see. Like he went to Baghdad in Iraq, he went to Mecca also, and he went to the Tibet area. And so he collected the writings and compositions of some of those saints and tried to convince the others, you see, who were not having his kind of faith and thought about God, about his own conception of God and how people should behave on this earth.
Well, now, the other thing I was going to ask you about the guru, because it's guru as opposed to, we say
Guru.
Guru, as opposed to guru.
Yeah.
It's guru.
Yeah.
They went through an awful lot. I mean, yesterday we were chatting about, boy, his 10 followers. I mean, just horrific types of tortures and things of that sort. So that's something also I would definitely welcome our viewers to go online and to check out. But back to the Holy Book, how often does a person read it? We talked briefly about that. There's different timelines on how people read it.
Yeah, well, the Holy Book has 1430 pages and it has 6,000 hymns. So it is a voluminous scripture. And it can, some people read it at leisure and may take an year or more to read it at home. Then when there is an occasion of sorrow, somebody has died, or there is going to be a wedding, or there is a birthday of one of the gurus, or his martyrdom day. On those several occasions, you know, they read the whole Holy Book continuously in 48 hours.
Wow.
And
are women allowed to read it also?
Women are also allowed to read, and each person takes 2 hours, and there is a what you call a relay of readers who do this, after which there is a special prayer.
Now, what language is it written in?
The Guru Granth Sahib or Granth Sahib is written in Gurmukhi. Gurmukhi is the script which was developed by the second Guru of the Sikhs.
Okay.
It is a new script. And the language is Punjabi, largely Punjabi. However, it contains words and clauses and phrases of 11 different languages and dialects.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Now, people who don't understand other cultures don't always understand the role of women in different religions. Now, are the Sikh women required to be subservient to men, or to walk several steps behind them, give them no direct eye contact, wear burqas, or have a silent faith in your role? It wouldn't work for me. I mean, it just wouldn't. I mean, they'd run me out of the Sikh corps or something, because that wouldn't work for me. So how are the women?
Oh, not at all, you know.
Not at all.
Not at all. Sikhism does not require women to be subservient. In fact, Guru Nanak, the first Guru, the founder, he said that a man seeks a woman, marries her. Through her, he builds up a lot of relations. When one woman dies, he marries another one. And she is the one who gives birth to even the kings, princes. So how can you consider that she is in any way inferior to men? So in this way, Sikhism appears to be the first religion which has given equality to women, and it is considered that women also have a soul which needs to advance spiritually, just as man has his soul has to develop spiritually. And so this there is no truth about this statement, you know, that Sikhism considers women to be inferior.
So your wife doesn't walk 10 steps behind you and doesn't give you direct eye contact?
No.
She's in our audience today.
She has slowed down a little bit because of age. So otherwise she always walks shoulder to shoulder with me.
Very good. Shoulder to shoulder. I like that. I like that a lot. Now, what's the proper term of your house of worship? I refer to it as a temple. Is it a church, a mosque? What's the preferred term?
It is not a mosque or synagogue or temple. However, many Sikh places of worship are called Sikh temple, West Sacramento, for example, you know. However, the correct term for a place of worship by the Sikhs is Gurdwara.
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 Gurdwara. I mean, I'm going to mess it up.
Yeah,
right.
It's the place of the Guru.
Okay,
it's
great.
the place of the Guru. Now, it always has outside in the front a high-rise flag of the Sikh religion.
That is orange?
Yes, that is generally orange or yellow, sometimes white, yeah. And this flag is not lowered down to half-mast You see, just like the cross on these Christian churches is not lowered down during national mourning, because it is considered that in Sikhism that all sorrow and happiness, everything is God ordained, you see. So respecting that, we leave the Sikh religious flag flying high wherever it is set. And the Sikh Gurdwara has a main hall, which is the prayer hall, where on a high podium is installed the Sri Guru Granth Sahib, and people come and put their donations in front of it and bow to the Guru Granth Sahib, recognizing him as to be the present Sikh Guru. In fact, even according to the Supreme Court of India, it is to be considered as a living Guru.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
And is that where the holy book is?
That's the holy book. That's the holy book. And there is a room for putting the holy book in that at night.
Is it locked up?
For rest, it is locked up, yes.
Is it parchment paper? What kind of paper
it is paper. It's good quality paper, yes.
Now, from organizational structure, do you have priests? Do you have administrators? How does that? I mean, it's a large organization, so obviously you have organizational structure.
Yeah, the Sikh religion is against having any priests, and we do not have any priests.
Why is that?
It's because a Sikh can reach God, pray to God directly for himself. And we do have people who are called pathis or readers who are fluent in reading the Guru Granth Sahib. Then there are kirtaniyas or the singers who, with the accompaniment of music, sing the verses of the Guru Granth Sahib. And we may also have an ardasiya, that means who specializes in offering the final congregational prayer. And at the end of every congregational prayer, the Sikhs pray for the optimism and for welfare of the entire human society.
Oh, wonderful. Now we're going to briefly break away and show you just a little bit of footage on a ceremony that we were able to film earlier in the year down at the West Sacramento Temple. Now, are there any eating restrictions, or do you have a facility to feed people? How does that work?
Well, the only restriction on eating is that people, Sikhs, do not eat kosher meat, you see. There also, the smoking is taboo, alcoholic drinks and drugs are discouraged. And we have in the Sikh temple a community kitchen. And
I've been to the kitchen. It's huge.
Yes, it is huge at the West Sacramento Gurdwara. And all the food is prepared by volunteers and served by volunteers. And everyone who is there, whether he is Sikh or non-Sikh, whether he is black, white, or any other creed or color, male or female, child or old person, irrespective of the social status, they all are treated equally in the kitchen. And the food is vegetarian.
Why vegetarian?
Because vegetarian is acceptable to everyone. If we had some kind of meat, then we have people of some religions, you know, who would not like to have beef, others who don't like to have pork, and so on and so forth.
That makes sense. Makes an awful lot of sense. Can you tell our audience basically what happens at a typical temple? I mean, we've talked a little bit about it. So if I was going to go to the temple, do you worship on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday?
Yeah. Well, the most Sikh temples have a daily service. They will install the Guru Granth Sahib early in the morning, then will have the morning 3 prayers, and then they will have the evening sunset prayer, and after the sunset prayer, they will put the Guru Granth Sahib for rest. And people keep coming all day long, you know, who are they just to pay respect to the Guru. And otherwise, there are special functions on in this temple on Wednesday evenings. There is a 1-hour singing program. On Saturdays mornings, there is usually a wedding taking place. And Sundays, there is maybe a wedding also, but because we have 2 facilities for 2 programs going on simultaneously. And there is the general public comes on Saturdays, and the Sikh temple in West Sacramento may have on an average about 1,000 to 1,500 people who are served meals.
Wow.
Yes, and you should know that the Sikh temple in the Golden Temple in Amritsar, you know, there up to 35,000 people have their lunch and their dinner.
A year?
Free, every day.
Wait a minute.
35,000 people
a
are
day.
fed every day in the Golden Temple.
Wow, and we have a PowerPoint slide of the Golden Temple. Oh, who funds that?
The community, the congregation. It's just from the donations of the congregation.
That is unbelievable. Now, what are some of the key beliefs and elements associated with the Sikh faith? And how could I become? Don't panic, St. Paul again. If I want to become a Sikh, how would I do it? Other than, I mean, I can almost do it for the wardrobe. I mean, I love this stuff, but probably a little bit more required than the wardrobe.
Well, the basic thing of a Sikh is that he believes in one God, and most religious people believe in one God anyway, you see. And anyone who desires to go deeper into Sikhism or become a Sikh should respect the 10 Gurus, believe these 10 Gurus, believe in the Sikh holy scriptures, and stop believing in another religion.
Oh, so once I become a Sikh, then I'd have to not be a Southern Baptist anymore?
Yeah, well, that is the kind of definition. However, there are people who believe in Sikhism and also in Hinduism. And there are a lot of people, Muslims in Pakistan, who pay great respect to Guru Nanak, you see. And so that way, so belief in one God is the most important thing, and we are all, he is our, you know, father, he is our mother, he is our creator, he is creator of all the constellations, the entire universe. He is very powerful. He is omniscient, and he is present everywhere, in everything, in you and in me. And because we are all his children, therefore there is equality. You see, equality and equality is practiced in the kitchen and in the community hall, as I mentioned to you. And Sikhism believes that human birth or human life is the most highly elevated life, is the most highly elevated species, a human being. And that the next thing is only to pray and become part of God, you see. And for doing that, there are many paths. Different religions have their different procedures and paths. Therefore, Sikhism very much respects all religions. And the goal of life here is to attain salvation from birth and death, and for our soul to merge into the soul of God.
Okay, now if I want to become a Sikh, I come up and say, okay, Professor, I'm feeling it. I want to become a Sikh. So what do I do?
Well, you should read the Sikh scriptures, so you become more familiar with the Sikh scriptures. Read the history of the Sikh gurus, and start believing in all these and in one God, and you will be a good Sikh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
and actions, you have to be doing good deeds. It's not just words.
I'm doing a television show to help the people. That's a good deed.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, are there any white people who are Sikhs?
Yes, there are, I think, about 5,000 to 7,000 white people who
and we have a PowerPoint slide.
Yeah, who have since about 1973 embraced Sikhism. They are all Khalsa. They have been initiated into Sikhism at their own request, and they always wear white clothes, and even the women wear turbans, and many of them have a khanda decorated on their turban.
So the white people wear white?
Yes.
You can pick them out of a crowd, certainly.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, that is great, because I know when I went to one of the training sessions they had for awareness, there was a woman from Marysville, a very well-spoken woman, that showed up, and I was surprised. She was as white as the driven snow. She had a white turban on and totally dressed in white. So when I was talking to the professor, I said, well, do the white people wear white? He goes, yes. I said, all white? Yes. The men and the women. So I think that's really, it's a curious but interesting concept.
You know, in Sikhism, there are 3 pillars of Sikhism, you see. One of them is to be in touch with God, praying God all the time.
Right.
Another is to work honestly to earn your livelihood. And the third one is to share your earnings with those who are less fortunate, who are needy.
And that would get back to the feeding in the kitchen. Certainly that would be one thing that would stick out.
Right, right. And besides, we worship, Sikhs have to worship, and they have to do service, as I explained, in the kitchen, you see, or in the Gurdwara or anywhere else,
So regardless of your have you done service in the kitchen?
No. I think I am more qualified to do service,
in other areas?
In other areas.
So it's not like it's a requirement. Everyone starts at the kitchen?
Like education, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
Everyone does it according to one's abilities and choice.
Okay, that's great. Now,
and then finally, of course, grace is important. Just as in Christianity, it is God's grace which is extremely important, and without that grace, one's soul cannot merge into God.
Without His grace and His mercy. I would say His grace and His mercy.
Right.
Now, what are the responsibilities for baptism? Are all Sikhs baptized?
No, all Sikhs are not baptized. Sikhs are essentially born into a Sikh family, and baptism is arranged by the parents. It is desirable that baptism is done at the age of 12 or 13 when the children understand what they are going to enter into. And but some people don't feel that they have all the time needed and the ability to comply with all the requirements.
Like, what are some of the requirements?
Well, the requirement is that you get up very early, have a bath, meditate, and then do the reading of the three sections of the Guru Granth Sahib in the morning, and one in the evening, and one before bed. And then there are other codes of conduct where all these kakars, you know, all the 5 Ks.
Yeah, we're going to talk about those next.
Yes, all the 5 Ks, you know. And so not everyone gets baptized for these reasons. You see,
because it's a tremendous responsibility.
Yeah, it is tremendous responsibility, and not everyone is willing or able to discharge.
Now, you mentioned the 5 kakas. Did you say kakas?
Yes.
Tell us about those.
The 5 kakars, we have a slide on this, I hope.
Yeah, we do.
Yes. And
Owen, did you put the slide up, Owen? Okay.
Yeah. The first kakar is case, you know, the uncut hair. And I explained to you already the importance of kakar, because God has given, we don't want to cut them. The second is the kada, the bracelet, which is a reminder that you are kind of a slave to God, and you should think before what you do.
Now, it's made out of iron?
This is iron. These days, most of them are made of steel, which is a kind of iron. Yeah. And the third one is a kanga, a comb, which is stuck in the head, you see, in the hair, and to keep the hair clean, you know, otherwise they'll get matted. And the fourth one is the special underwear, which has a lot of gathers, you know.
Do the women wear that also, or just the men?
Yes, all Sikhs are asked to. All those who want to get baptized, you know, or initiated, they have to wear. And finally, the fifth one is the kirpan, which, as I explained, is a reminder of your duty to kill the evils in yourself, and also to protect those who need to be protected, including yourself.
Now, there was an issue regarding the carrying of the kirpan in Michigan. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. You know, actually, it was in California that it came up first. In 1995, a family called Chima family, they wanted their baptized children to wear the kirpan to the school, you see, as is required by the religion. And there was a long legal fight. Ultimately, it was resolved that those children will wear the kirpan to the school, but the kirpan will not be longer than, I think, 3.5 inches, and it would not be very sharp, and it would be so secured that it cannot be easily taken out from its sheath.
But how did they do that? Put like in a leather little pocket, or?
There is a picture, you know,
right.
I think a slide. In this slide you can see how it is done. It is with the cloth which is on the sheath is also tied closely on the handle of the kirpan itself.
Well, now how does a Sikh travel with that particular
well, Sikhs have to, you see, you asked about the Michigan, you know, in Michigan only this year, same kind of issue came up, and the state has authorized the Sikh children to wear the kirpan with those restrictions which I mentioned. Now, the Sikhs or anybody else should be observing the law of the state, and they should find out and then behave accordingly. If they are traveling, my advice would be that they should put their kirpan in the baggage, in the checked baggage, or give it to the checker for the journey and reclaim it at the end of their journey.
So they would give it to the flight attendant?
To the flight, so it goes to the flight attendant. And that, I think, takes care of that kirpan.
Okay.
Yes.
What else? Is there one thing you'd like to emphasize to our viewers regarding Sikhism? And this particular segment, we're going to be talking about trailblazers and other people on our next segment.
I see. Now, I think it is important to remember that of the people who wear turbans or patka in America, 99.9% are Sikhs. And they are good citizens like other Americans, and they have their own scripture, and they have their own gurudwaras. It's a separate religion and not a part of any other religion. And they have nothing to do with terrorists who are anti-America, you see. And these are some of the things. In addition, I think they should know that Sikhs welcome people of all religions to visit their gurdwara or their church and take part in the langar, you know, in the enjoy the free vegetarian meal served in the langar.
The other thing, I know when I went to the temple, if I didn't have a covering, they give you a temporary covering that you can wear, and you take your shoes off. And I've been to the West Sacramento location on a couple of times, and it was very, very warm, very, very inviting. Now, how many Sikhs, or do you know, are in the United States?
Well, in the United States, the guess estimate is that there are now close to 1 million Sikhs.
Wow.
You see.
How many worldwide?
Worldwide, there are about 26 million.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. And in California, there are about 250 to 300,000.
So California is one of the larger states.
Yes.
Which would be the next state? New York?
New York has a lot of them, and Michigan, and you see the tri-state area, New Jersey, etc., near New York, Washington, Florida.
Why those particular areas? I mean, why aren't you guys in North Dakota or South Carolina or Tennessee?
Well, they have been going now into those areas, you know, because they're more in California because the climate here is very wonderful, quite similar to that of Punjab, where Sikhs originated, you see. Now, however, because of opportunities available everywhere, Sikhs have gone everywhere. They are found in Alaska, they are found in Zanzibar, from A to Z.
Yeah, A to Z. Well, that's my term. But using A to Z, that's my term. Is there another thing you'd like to add, Professor?
Yes, I want to ask you. Is there a religion in America which asks people to wear a turban?
No, I don't think so.
You don't know?
But
it is Sikhism and Sikhism only.
Sikhism is the only one that I can think of.
Yes.
Now, I want you to tune in next week for part 2 of Seeking the Sikhs. We're going to discuss famous Sikh trailblazers. We're going to talk about hate crimes. We're going to talk about the efforts that are currently underway to improve cultural awareness associated within the Sikh community. The other thing I want you to keep in mind, as I mentioned last episode, and I will mention every episode, this is a nonprofit show, and if you really like our programming, you want to see more, we're more than willing to accept any kind of donation. Any kind of donation for future programming can be sent to A to Z with B at RCC TV. That's in Sacramento at 2212 K Street, 95816. Or you can call me directly. We want to thank you for tuning in. I want to leave you with one thought. And my thought is, I'd rather live my life as if there is a God and die and find out there isn't, than to live my life as if there isn't, and to die and find out there is a God. Thank you for tuning in, and we hope to see you next week. Good night.